there are obvious differences because there are definitive differences between men and women. You know, in the boys' ward, we didn't necessarily care about it looking lively and pretty, and, you know, we didn't care about as much as the way it looked as how we interacted with each other. Like, you know, we valued the opinions of our peers rather than placing value in the way that our ward looks. Growing up where I live, there's a lot of things about mainstream culture and mainstream media that come as a bit of a culture shock to me because I don't have any real experience when it comes to these things. And one of those things is the whole issue of being transgender and sports. So, let me get a few things straight. This isn't meant to make fun of anybody. This isn't meant to degrade anyone or bully anyone. I'm just literally just making this video based upon what I think. So, the issue with transgender people and sports is the innate ability that some people have that others don't. For example, the innate bone structure and muscle mass that somebody born as a male has as in comparison to somebody born as a female. You see, the way I think about it is I always hearken it back to my experience in mental hospitals. Because in the first hospital, we were separated by gender. So all the males were in one ward, all the girls were in a different ward, and there were obvious differences. The girls, I remember one time we went over to the girls' ward to play, I don't know, some sort of game. It was like a Jeopardy game, and we had to guess what certain prompts were based on the description. But those details are they don't matter. The main reason is we went over there, and the girls' ward looked so different. Like the boys' ward, I remember it was kind of boring because it was all just one color. It was all just, you know, straight to the point. Not much, you know, not much life. It didn't look alive. When we went to the girls' ward, it looked alive. There were paintings, there were different colored blankets, there were different colored chairs. The chairs that we had were these big giant plastic chairs that were filled with sand, and so a patient couldn't pick it up and throw it against a wall or throw it against somebody else. They were filled with sand, so they were really, really heavy. But in the boys' ward, they were all they were all blue. In the girls' ward, there were different colors. And there were also mirrors, which obviously not with actual glass. They were metal mirrors. There were also these little screen doors that were in the middle of the ward that separated the therapy area and the relaxing area. And in the boys' ward, it wasn't anything like that. The same place where the TV was the same place we had group therapy. But regardless, there were obvious differences because there are definitive differences between men and women. You know, in the boys' ward, we didn't necessarily care about it looking lively and pretty, and, you know, we didn't care about as much as the way it looked as how we interacted with each other. Like, you know, we valued the opinions of our peers rather than placing value in the way that our ward looks. Of course, we didn't leave it a mess. We did clean it up. I mean, well, technically we did leave it a mess. I remember one time, one of the patients took a packet of ranch because we had salad that day. And for the first 2 days, you're not allowed to go to the cafeteria. You have to eat in the ward because the cafeteria and ward are in two different buildings. Anyway, so one of the patients, I remember on my first day, I was being processed and we were doing intake. This is kind of aside from the point, but some kid had taken a ranch packet. I'm assuming that he got it because I don't know, we were having salad that day maybe, and there was ranch splattered all over the table. But regardless, that was just a little tidbit that I wanted to talk about. But what I'm getting back to is there's a clear difference between men and women. Just like in the mental hospital, we were separated because we suffer with different things. We suffer with, you know, we may suffer with the same statistical diagnosis of maybe, let's just say, depression. Two people can have depression and they're different genders, but the way that it affects a person mentally is different. When men are depressed, we suppress it. When women are depressed, they embrace it. It's a very common thing to see in a mental hospital where the girls are a lot more accepting and the men are a lot more stoic and they feel like they need to be strong. In my second stay in a mental hospital, we had a mixed gender ward. So this was a different hospital. We were mixed gendered. And of course, there were certain things that were different. You know, the girls had paintings in their rooms while the boys didn't. The girls had their own private showers when the men didn't. So, obviously, big difference. But what I'm trying to get to is, not only is there a mental difference, but there's also a physical difference. The women suffer with different things. They have uteruses, they have periods, you know, they have the ability to get pregnant while men don't. Men have penises, men pee standing up, men don't have periods, obviously. So there are physical differences that accommodate for the different genders. And I think that we need to take that idea and apply it to the world of athletics. Because think about it like this. When I was in the mental hospital, there was another patient. His name, I'm not going to say his name, but he was questioning transitioning into a woman. And in my follow-up program, he actually started hormone replacement therapy. So he was now becoming a she. One of the things that I wanted to point out was, you can look at him or her or whatever you want to call her. You can look at this person and you can see them, they're obviously male, but there's some aspects that are becoming more feminine. But just because some aspects are, doesn't change the fact that this person went through a male puberty. Their bone structure is different, their muscle structure is different, and even if this person were on HRT, doesn't change the fact that their bone structure is different. Think about it like this. People who are born male have gone through a male puberty. Those kind of people have a very different, like I keep mentioning this, but it's important. They have a very different bone structure. What does estrogen do? Estrogen is it's a hormone, and it is much higher in women, lower in men, but we both have it. When you start transitioning into a woman, you take testosterone blockers and you take HRT, which is estrogen, if you're a male transitioning to a female. And what does estrogen do to your bone structure? It preserves it. Estrogen has an innate ability to preserve bone structure in anyone. And if you already have strong bone structure from being a person who went through male puberty, and then adding estrogen on top, that serves as an even even bigger problem, because your muscle mass may be different, but your bone structure is the same. You may be, you know, bones are a very important part of athleticism. You know, your pelvis is going to be different. Like, let's just say you're riding a bike. Women who are born women have a different pelvis shape than men who transitioned into women. So that's my thoughts. I hope I made this video a bit more clear, and like I said before, I'm not making this video to hate on anyone or to judge anyone. My dog is barking at people outside, so I'll catch you in the next one. If you're in an emergency, I have emergency links down below. If you want to DM me or anything, my socials down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ahoy ho! Malama pono.